So I wanted to take this time and talk about the announcement regarding Mighty Number 9. And I'm sure you guys have heard the news already regarding its delay. But I wanted to do something a little bit more constructive when it came to talking about this game. Because I think that in this video I can address a larger problem as a whole when it comes to the delays surrounding Mighty Number 9, kickstarting, crowdfunding, all of that jazz. For those of you guys who are unaware of what Mighty Number 9 is, Mighty Number 9 is the next game from well-known developer Keiji Inafune. This game was announced in fall of 2013 on the Kickstarter platform. Kickstarter is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is where you, the consumer, have the opportunity to vote with your wallet to see what interesting new ideas come out. So let's say, for example, you are a person who wants to get an indie film done, but you require the budget. You present a concept, and it's up to people to invest in it. Same thing for a web series, cookbook, in some cases, making mashed potatoes. Video games are no stranger to that. There have been a couple of Kickstarters that were done in the past, but nowhere to the level of games like Wasteland or Mighty Number 9 or Double Fine's projects. This represented something larger in the industry that I don't think a lot of us expected, but when we saw that this was happening, it provided a lot of opportunities. Because what do you have here? You have these well-known, even legendary developers to some, like Tim Schafer and Keiji Inafune, coming out there and doing their own thing. Why? Because they were unable to. Because they were with a publisher. For the longest time, you heard stories about these AAA publishers taking our established franchises and ruining them, spitting on them, destroying them, making them into something they're not. Look at Activision and what they did to Spyro. Look at Capcom and what they did to Mega Man. Look at all of these amazing franchises that were destroyed by publishers. So with the concept of Kickstarter, it sounds like a great thing. The original staff behind the game want to make a new iteration, free from publisher reign, free from their control to tell them what they can and can't do. Where you are involved in the process, you get to see the development behind it. You get to see all the updates. On idea, it sounds like an amazing, amazing prospect. But what happened with Mighty Number 9? What happened with the Double Fine projects? Why are we in the situation that we are today? We can sit here and talk about video game delays. We can talk about the benefits of them and why they're not a bad thing. I've already done a video on delays. We already know that delays aren't a bad thing. But when is enough enough? When do you have to start speaking up and saying, hey, maybe there is a bigger problem at hand? The old Shigeru Miyamoto saying is very true. A delayed game comes out good. A bad game is bad forever. But what happens when just delaying it isn't the problem? Why don't we look at the root of it? Why don't we look at what is going on with the development as opposed to just the delay? So that's what we're going to do today. Let's look at the official update from Comkept regarding Mighty Number 9. In here, they're just going over what's happening with the game and the reason why they're delaying it. The game is being delayed due to online-related issues with the network modes and matchmaking, and there's just a bunch of bugs in it. They go into a brief explanation of what's happening. Now, this is a common thing. It's fine, right? They're telling us what's happening, and they want to make the greatest game possible. That'd be all well and good if the game wasn't in what time is it? What day is it? Note 4. 6:34 p.m. on Monday, January 25th. Mighty Number 9 was set to release on February 9th. That is 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, and they're still going through some problems. And this game has been delayed 3 times. So if 2 weeks out from the release of the game you are already having problems, I think that paints a pretty bad picture. Delays, right? Development problems. Controversy. Oh yeah. There is a ton of controversy surrounding Mighty Number 9. Comes from this guy known as Keiji Inafune, right? He's talking about all the ideas that he wants to do for Mighty Number 9, and it's great. It's amazing to see a developer who's been wronged by a publisher being able to strike back and come out with something with their original vision to show that these games can still work, that they can sell. But when is having too much freedom a bad thing. It shouldn't be, right? This is America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But sometimes I think you need to have people who are the brakes, who have to sit there and just watch over you and say, hold on, man, you better stop what you're doing. Sometimes you need people to encourage you. Sometimes you need individuals who you can collaborate with creatively. A really good example that I can say would be the original Star Wars trilogy with George Lucas. George Lucas with Episode 4, A New Hope. He laid the great groundwork for an amazing series. But he needed other directors to help achieve this vision. Right? That's why Episodes 5 and 6 were great. Compare and contrast that to George Lucas having full creative control with the Star Wars prequel movies. Pretty big difference of a person having a great vision but not knowing how to materialize it. It's a problem that exists in a lot of places. What I'm trying to say is sometimes having a person say, you know, you gotta either slow down, move up, change things around isn't a bad thing. Because if you're working with a great team, you can come to a creative, neutral point. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes having a person over your shoulders watching what you're doing is good creatively, because that means that you're able to get a second opinion. And in some cases, you can learn a lot from these individuals. I think we've kind of gotten into the fashion of, oh, you know, we don't need these shareholders and these stockholders, you know, telling us what we can and can't do. But when you have cases like this with Mighty Number 9, sometimes you do need people to put the brakes. Sometimes you do need a better creative staff. Video game developers are not CEOs. Video game developers are not marketers. There are people who know about these things, and just because you have them doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Case in point, knowing when to apply the brakes. We have Red Ash, right? Red Ash was another Kickstarter project from Comkept and Keiji Inafune, okay? Red Ash was going to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends. Now, shit's sounding pretty lit right now. We got a Mega Man, classic Mega Man successor, and we got a Mega Man Legends successor. Yo, it's just like a 1-2 FU to Capcom. Now, this is all well and good. It would be awesome if this wasn't announced during the initial development for Mighty Number 9. This game was put up for Kickstarter before Mighty Number 9 was even out, before it had a release date. You can make the case that, oh, well, the bulk of Mighty Number 9's development by 2015 was pretty much done. They were just ironing out the bugs and kinky. I don't know. Wow. They iron out the bugs and the glitches and everything. So it makes sense that they can move the majority of their staff to a new project. Yes, that's true. But let me put something into perspective for y'all. Mighty Number 9 wasn't out. This is not a case of a studio allocating different people to work on different projects while some finish up the main game. These guys have had money given to them by the consumers, and they haven't even released this game. You haven't played Mighty Number 9 yet. You've barely gotten trailers. And they're coming out here and they have the gall to announce a new project. But it wasn't just the game. It was an anime as well. And an anime for Mighty Number 9 too. Like, we're kickstarting all these projects for shit that isn't even out, that we don't even have good proof of concept. That's just having way too much creative freedom. Way too much. When you have nothing to show for it. And if it just stopped there, that's it, whatever. You're doing what you're doing, I don't approve of it. But it's even worse when it comes to that, because the game ended up becoming funded by a third party midway through the Kickstarter. It was funded by this third party known as Fuse. And all of your money that was Kickstarter for the game was still going to be used for the development of it. We're just going to make more stretch goals. So we have all this collusion. We have all this lack of transparency. This game being announced without people even playing Mighty Number 9. I don't know about y'all, but in business, what they teach you is that when you spend money and you're fortunate enough to make a profit, with that money, you invest it in other channels. You do things with it. Like a sequel to Mighty Number 9 or a new game entirely. Wouldn't that make sense? Wait for Mighty Number 9 to come out, use the money for Mighty Number 9, and then create Red Ash? Why do we have to go out there and fund a game from a developer who hasn't even released his game yet? Combine that with the controversy surrounding the social media manager, who was like a big anti-Gamergate thing. And I'm not going to get into the politics of Gamergate right now, but what you need to know and what's really wrong about this is that she was straight up banning backers for Mighty Number 9 for having a differing opinion on things. Whatever your politics are on Gamergate, the fact that she was a social media manager, she's supposed to be neutral, and she's banning people because they had opinion on it. People who paid money, 10, 20, 40, 50, 100, thousands of dollars, they're banning over stuff like that. And now you see why there's a problem when it comes to Kickstarters. And this is something I think that we don't want to accept. We don't want to really point this out because it's a bad thing to do. I'm trying to find my mouse here. Here we go. On paper, stuff like Kickstarter sounds like a great idea. It really does. It was a wonderful thing. So many awesome projects have come from it. And when you have developers that take the feedback from people on the games that they've kickstarted, they invest the money into other games. Like, look at what the guys did with the Divinity game, right? The game was kickstarted, okay? They announced the sequel. They used the money to fund the sequel, and then they opened a Kickstarter for additional things. See, there's a difference when it comes to that. They released the game. They have money from it. And then they release an updated version they give out to people for free, if I remember correctly. But this, announcing 4 Kickstarters when nothing's out? What I think we have to accept is that we have to stop over-romanticizing these people in the industry. We all love people like Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima is one of my favorite developers of all time. But just because he's one of my favorite developers doesn't mean that I'm going to not look him in the way when he's doing some suspect stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to do these to these people. They're not gods. They're celebrities. Celebrity video game developers. And especially if you're paying money, you have to keep them accountable. Because you are the one who they're begging. Your money. You have to stop thinking that, oh my God, it's just these developers. I gotta go in with blind faith. I mean, that may be cool if you have a video game trailer for a game that you could buy later when you play the demo and you get invited to the beta and you see more trailers. But when you're kickstarting something, when they have little to no proof of concept, you gotta question these guys like Keiji Inafune. You gotta question people like Cliffy B. And I'm just throwing out names, for example, here, and the camera does not want to focus. Focus on me. Thank you. Moral of the story here, ladies and gentlemen, is that publishers aren't bad. They're not evil. Sometimes you need people to come in and tell you what you have to do. That's not a bad thing. We all need a person like that in our lives. I mean, for Christ's sake, people have that till they turn the age of 18. It's called parents. It's called father figures. It's called uncles. It's called basketball coaches. It's called teachers. It's called best friends. And I don't think we're getting anywhere by just going in with blind faith and going off of the hype factor, because we ignore a lot of the problems that are coming from it. It's okay to be skeptical, especially when you're paying money on it. I don't get it. I understand why we want to be excited. Like, if someone can go and kickstart another Spyro game or a Crash Bandicoot title, there's so many games I would love to see come back. But I'm going to be a bit wary before I invest in something like that. I want to know what this person's done before. I want to see how the progress is going. And yes, it's not going to be a case. It's of course going to be a case of sometimes you just don't know because no one predicted the problem with Mighty Number 9. That's true. That's why I have to give these things time to breathe. Breathe. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this video is going on 15 minutes long. I think I have made my point. Mighty Number 9, a mighty disappointment. Someone on my Facebook actually pointed this out. They're like, oh yeah, Mighty Number 9, is that how many times we're going to have to wait until it gets delayed? Oh man, we'll be in 2018 by this point. It'd be a funny thing if Kingdom Hearts 3 came out before Mighty Number 9. I'm just going to be sitting back right here, grab my Keyblade that's over there in the back and be like... Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I am NGS signing out, and like always, have a wonderful, beautiful, spectacularly awesome day. I will catch you guys later. Peace.